Once it is done, then we'll move ahead. Good. So recording has started and sharing my screen with you. Here we are. Okay, I hope everyone is able to see my screen here. This is going to be the income tax one, as I've already stated to all of you, 48 hours. But generally I take much more number of hours as compared to the given, because this subject requires. Now, before I go to the syllabus, let me ask you one question. If you are the international student, then in your respective country as well, you will be paying the income taxes. But let's just think right now from the Indian perspective, because the law and regulations, everything that we are going to study will be Income Tax Act 1961 in India, right? So it's from the perspective of the Indian side. So income tax as per the Indian regulations. So Income Tax Act 1961 provisions we are going to study. So that's the one clarification. Let me ask you one question. Can any one of us, can any one of us, you know, keep ourselves refrain from taking the knowledge of income tax? Every one of us will have to take a bit of a knowledge of income tax, right? Because every one of us is going to earn some or other kind of an income. Some of you will be engaged, you will be engaging yourself in some business and professions, some startups. Some of you will already be having some businesses. Some of you will be taking some jobs. Some of you will go to your father's business. So every one of us would be earning some or other kind of an income, right? Now when the income comes into the picture, at that time you pay some taxes to your government. In the same manner, we also pay the taxes to the government of India. Now, income tax is regarded as the direct tax. Why it is a direct tax? Because it is paid by us directly. We pay the tax to the income tax authority, government of India, directly. We individually pay the income tax directly. That's why it's called as the direct tax. But it does not mean that if you do not pay the income tax, you are not paying any kind of a tax. Various kind of a taxes, right from brushing your teeth to using the every kind of utilities in your day-to-day life, to using the bed sheets on which you are laying, by any kind of a vehicles you use, every kind of a utility you use, you pay some or other kind of a tax to the government. નાનામાં નાની વસ્તુ તમે પરચેસ કરો ત્યાંથી લઈને મોટામાં મોટી વસ્તુ તમે સેલ કરો ત્યાં સુધીમાં કેટલા બધા ટેક્સીસ આપણે આપતા હોઈએ છે. એ બધા ટેક્સીસ હોય એને આપણે જીએસટી કહીએ. ઘણી જગ્યાએ આપણે પેટ્રોલિયમ ઉપર એક્સાઇઝ ટેક્સ આપતા હોઈએ. આ બધા ટેક્સ છે ઇનડાયરેક્ટ છે. ધીસ ઓલ ટેક્સીસ આર ઇનડાયરેક્ટ, because generally you do not directly pay to the government, because you just pay the MRP to the person from whom you are taking it. If you fill up the petrol of 1 liter in your car, you do not directly pay the tax to the government. You just pay the 80 rupees of per liter petrol price to the petrol pump owner, right? So it's not something which you are directly paying to the government of India. That's why it is an indirect tax. But this income tax is called as the direct tax. Why it's a direct tax, sir? Because this is something which we pay directly to the income tax authority, right? Okay, so this is the syllabus of income tax. I'm just giving you the brief idea about the entire income tax to you. First of all, we will first understand that what is the income tax, how it took place, कौन से सिचुएशन में हमें इनकम टैक्स पे करना है, कितने कितने लोगों को पे करना है, हर एक को इनकम टैक्स पे करना है कि हर एक को नहीं करना है, is everyone liable to pay the income tax or not? This everything we will study in the unit number 1. Now, income tax is something which is dependent on your residential status. When I say residential status, that means where you are staying. Now, do not take it literally, because to identify the residential status, there are certain rules and regulations given by the Income Tax Act. You first try to identify that whether the person is resident of India or not. Whether the person is resident to India or not, that affects your income tax liability. તો ઇન્કમ ટેક્સ કેટલો પે કરવો એ કેના ઉપર ડિપેન્ડન્ટ છે કે આપણે રેસિડન્ટ ઇન્ડિયાના છે કે નથી. તો રેસિડેન્શિયલ સ્ટેટસ is also something which we are going to do in the first module. Then there are certain incomes on which you are not supposed to pay any kind of a tax. Those incomes are called as the exempt income. You must be able to see the third part of the first module, exempt income. We will see that how many incomes are there on which we are not supposed to pay any kind of income tax. Agricultural income is also one of those incomes on which we do not pay income tax. But yes, there are certain rules. We will study those rules in the detailed manner when we'll be moving to the content. Right? Then, every kind of an income, please identify and put it in the back of your mind, my dear students. તમે જેટલી પણ પ્રકારની ઇન્કમ કરતા હોય એ બધા પ્રકારની ઇન્કમને 5 હેડની અંદર ડિવાઇડ કરી શકીએ. There are 5 categories in which the incomes will be bifurcated and categorized as per Income Tax Act 1961. The first head is the salary. So what is the salary income? If you are employed by someone, if you are working in some company, some organization, some institute, and you are getting the salary, then this is called as the salary income, right? You are aware about it. So what is the treatment of salary income? How the tax on salary income will be calculated? What are the incomes which forms a part of the salary income? कौन सी चीजों को हम salary income कह सकते हैं, किसको हम salary income नहीं कह सकते? अब कोई लोग होंगे जो शाणपत्ती करते हैं, वो तो कहते हैं कि सैलरी में क्या दिया, तो सैलरी में सर हमने तो है ना सैलरी में कार दे दी. So if the car which you receive in the salary, whether that should be taken as the salary or not. कोई लोग बोलेंगे कि सर सैलरी नहीं देना है, हम एक काम करते हैं, हम है ना सैलरी की जगह पे कुछ अलाउंस दे देते हैं. तो ऐसी शाणपत्ती करने वाले लोग हैं, तो उनके लिए इनकम टैक्स एक्ट फिर से कुछ कानून लाएगा. इनकम टैक्स एक्ट तो बहुत होशियार है भैया, वो तो हमसे 2 स्टेप और आगे. उसने सोच के रखा है कि कौन कौन कहां पे शाणपत्ती कर सकता है, उसके हिसाब से उसने ऑलरेडी रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बनाए हुए हैं. बट लेट मी क्लैरिफाई दिस. Even though we have the hell lots of rules and regulations in the income tax, still people find various loopholes. Because any kind of a tax which is direct in nature, where individual is supposed to pay the tax, there are always certain loopholes in the system. इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स के अंदर टैक्स चोरी नहीं होती, क्योंकि आप 1 रुपए की टॉफी लेते हो, 10 रुपए का साबुन लेते हो, 25 रुपए की कोई भी चीज लेते हो, उसके ऊपर टैक्स कट करके आता है. आप एमआरपी देखते हो तो एमआरपी के अंदर बाजू में लिखा होता है इंक्लूसिव ऑफ ऑल द टैक्सेस. एमआरपी के बाजू में लिखा होता है कौन से भी प्रोडक्ट्स के ऊपर. तो वो जो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस है, जीएसटी है, एक्साइज है वगैरह, वो इनडायरेक्टली लगते हैं, आप डायरेक्टली गवर्नमेंट को पे नहीं करते हो. उसके अंदर टैक्स चोरी के चांसेस थोड़े से कम होते हैं. इसमें टैक्स चोरी बहुत ज्यादा हो जाती है, क्योंकि एवरी इंडिविजुअल इज लायबल टू पे द टैक्स टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. और एक इंडिविजुअल को तुम पावर दोगे कि कौन सी इनकम इंक्लूड करना, कौन सी नहीं करना, कितना टैक्स पे करना, कितना नहीं पे करना, तो इंडिविजुअल तो उसका एडवांटेज लेंगे ही भैया. तो ये जो सैलरी इनकम है, वो उसमें कौन सी इनकम आती है? पहले तो instead of salary, if someone pays something else, then whether that should be included in the salary income or not. Just like I have given the example of car. If your employer gives you the car instead of salary, whether the car will be taken as the income to you or not, because that is in kind, right? And if that car will be taken as your income, the amount of valuation of car will be taken as your income, then what is the valuation of that car? How you will be evaluating that? How you will be finding the financial consideration of the car? Similarly, if you just give the facility to someone instead of salary, if you just say that सर एक काम करते हैं, सैलरी पे नहीं करनी है ना, उसके उसकी जगह पे है ना, मैं आपको एक घर देता हूं, वहां पे आप रहो तो आपके 15,000 का रेंट बच जाएगा. So if you give a house to someone on a rent and you are not taking any rent but you are giving that house as a part of the salary, then whether that house which you are enjoying right now, in which you are staying, that should be taken as a part of your salary or not, because we people have got the various loopholes in the system, right? We know that how to utilize those loopholes. So how will be valuing, how will be, finding the financial value of that particular car or house or any such kind of an accommodation we are using, any utility we are using from the employer's side? So that everything will be discussing in the salary, right? But salary will take place only when you have the employer and employee kind of a relationship. If you are working under someone, then only the salary comes into the picture, otherwise not. So that's going to be about the salary. We'll do the calculations. There is absolutely nothing to worry about. We are going to go into the details of salary, each and every minute provisions of it, when we'll be studying it thoroughly, right? If you're not able to understand it right now, that's perfectly fine. I'm just giving you the brief idea. So first head of income is salary, as we have studied. Then second head of income is the house property. Say if you are the owner of house property and you are giving that property on rent to someone and you receive the rent amount from that, then it is not your salary first of all. It's not your business as well. No one can say that sir मेरा तो business ही है कि मैं लोगों को भाड़े पे देता हूं. तो अगर तुम्हारा business है, then we'll calculate the amount as per the business and profession. But if it is not your business, you are doing it, you have property, you are giving it to someone for rent. So how you calculate that rent? What is the amount will be taken as a amount of income from that particular rent you are receiving? Whether what kind of a properties will be a house property, whether the commercial properties which are shops, if you are giving that shops and everything on rented basis, premises, or only the land, then whether that will be taken as a house property or not. What is the definition of house property first of all? What kind of a things that gets included in the house property? What kind of a things that does not get included in the house property? This everything will be a part of third module. So second is house property. Some people okay, so everyone should be able to see that HP2. HP નો મતલબ હરક પદુડા થાય, પણ આપણા હરક પદુડા નહીં, આમાં શું છે? હાઉસ પ્રોપર્ટી છે. ઓકે. અચ્છા, depreciation will go to that, but before that we'll have to study the profits and gains from business and profession. So third income is the business and profession, for which we have the fifth module, right? So if you are doing some business, if you have the establishment, or if you are owner of some business or profession, you are chartered professions माने कि you are CA, or you are doing some services, you are doing some digital marketing services, or you are a lawyer, doctor, all such sort of a professions, as well as if you are doing some kind of a business your own. That means you are not an employee of anyone, you are doing your own business. Then the rules and everything will be applicable of income tax will be of profits and gains from business and profession. What are the things which comes under the business and profession? We will understand that. How we'll find the income from business and profession? Now let me give you again a very practical example. If you own a business and profession, ભાઈની મવડીની અંદર દુકાન હોય અને તમને કોક એમ કહે કે સર એના ઉપર ટેક્સ પે કરવાનો છે, તો તમે તો બંને એટલા એવા એક્સપેન્સ નાખવાની કોશિશ કરો ને કે તમને ટેક્સ પે કરવો જ ના પડે. કોઈ પણ વ્યક્તિ હંમેશા ઓબ્વિયસલી એવું જ વિચારવાનું છે કે ભાઈ મારે ટેક્સ પે ના કરવો પડે એટલા હું એક્સપેન્સ નાખી દઉં. મારા ઘરે છે ને દુકાને 2-4 લોકો ઘરાક બેસવા આવ્યા હતા એટલે મેં એ લોકોને 400 રૂપિયાનું ઠંડુ પીવડાવી દીધું તો 400 રૂપિયા થઈ ગયા, તો પ્રોફિટ ઓછો થઈ ગયો. So everyone will try to utilize the system to pay the minimum tax. So what are the expenditures which should be allowed, which should not be allowed? If everyone would be allowed to put any kind of an expenditure, तो फिर कोई टैक्स पे करेगा ही नहीं भैया. तो इनकम टैक्स वालों को चोटी तो नहीं है, ना तो उनके माथे के ऊपर लिखा गया है कि वो फूल है. तो इनकम टैक्स वालों को मालूम है कि भाई तुम ऐसी कोई चीजें कर सकते हो, तो उन्होंने रूल्स बनाए कि व्हाट आर द एक्सपेंस यू कैन क्लेम, व्हाट आर द एक्सपेंस विच आर नॉट अलाउड. फिर वहां पे भी लोग कहते हैं, कई बार इनकम आती है ना, तो इनकम आती है तो कहते हैं कि ये तो बिजनेस की इनकम नहीं है, ये तो कहीं और जगह से है, किसी ने मेरे को गिफ्ट दे दी, किसी ने मेरे को ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया. तो वेदर दैट इनकम शुड बी इंक्लूडेड इन द इनकम ऑफ बिजनेस एंड प्रोफेशन और नॉट. So this everything we are going to study in unit number 5, right? And to do the business and profession, my dear students, you would be requiring some assets. And if you require some assets, then obviously there is also a depreciation on the assets, because assets loses their value over a period of time, because assets have a useful life. After 5 years the furniture's useful life would be over. After 10 years the machinery would be over. After 10 to 15 years every kind of an assets which you have employed in your business and profession will get obsolete. So there has to be some depreciation. Assets are losing its value. So what is the treatment of depreciation when you calculate your tax from business and profession? So that's gonna be our 4th module. There is a little problem over here when it comes to the sequence of this, because first it comes the business and profession and then it should be depreciation. But anyway, it's given to us in the syllabus. So first we'll be taking the 5th unit and then we'll be taking the 4th unit, because that's what the logical flow is. So this is the entire income tax we will be learning, right? So that's entire about the subject. If you have any queries or question related to the syllabus we have discussed till now, you can ask it to me. Anyone would like to ask any question till now? May I have a chotu sa confirmation that you have got it everything till now? Yes, I am not giving you the exact idea about what we are going to do. It is just a brief overview. I am just clarifying that what are the things we are going to cover in the income tax, right? Okay, so from Miss Nancy, Mr. Brand, Mr. Harsh, Mr. Uttam, Mr. Javik, we have got it. Yes, Mr. Prince too. Miss Priya, good to see that. Mr. Dilip. Now, the best thing about the income tax is that, we will not just be learning that what should be done. We will also be learning that what should not be done. And what are the loopholes which can also be utilized for our tax planning purposes, how we can minimize and reduce our income tax in the best possible manner. So that also we will be discussing. So it's not just gonna be something like I'll be clarifying you, this is the provision and this is what we do. So I'll also tell you that what are the various loopholes where we can do certain tax planning. I give the name tax planning. I'm not giving the tax evasion. It's not a chori. It's not a thief. It's not a theft, right? We are just planning it accordingly to get the maximum advantage of all the provisions which are there in the income tax. So that also we'll do. That would be over and above the syllabus to make it more practical. Okay, so everyone should first understand that this is a kind of a subject which is applicable to everyone, whether you are BCom student or BBA student, or whether you do the MBA or you are engineering student or doctor, everyone is supposed to pay the income tax to their government. That's why this is something which is applicable to all of us. Now, if you go to a chartered accountant or a company secretary to file your income tax return, I mean, you will have to pay the tax. So you will have to give some information to the government of India that what are the incomes you are earning, what is the tax on it. Now everything is done by certain CAs, right? If you go to them, then you will have to pay some money. So by the end of this particular subject, I will make sure that you will be at least able to understand that what are the things you are supposed to give to the government of India, how you file the return of income, though it is not a part of it. But after the completion of these two subjects, particularly income tax 1 and income tax 2, you should be at least able to file your own return of income. You won't have to take the help of other people, because majority of the things are so simple. We just pay to the other people just because we do not have the sufficient and requisite knowledge. You must have observed that if you go to the lawyer, many of the things that he does know, we just lack a knowledge of it. That's why he's charging the money from us. If you just do a little bit of research, then you will come to know that sir, ये document file करने के लिए तो इतना पैसा होता ही नहीं है, इसके लिए हमारे पास से 500 रुपए ले लिए. So it's always better to have the knowledge. આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં કહીએ ને કે બેટા આપણે ભલે બીજા કોકને કામ આપીએ, પણ આપણને એટલી ખબર હોવી જોઈએ કે કેટલા પૈસા આપવાના છે એના માટે. આપણને કઈ ખબર જ ન પડતી હોય, કોક આપણી પાસેથી 5,000 રૂપિયા લઈ જાય ખાલી રિટર્ન ફાઇલ કરવાના, તો એવું ન થવું જોઈએ. આપણી ઇન્કમ તો એવી કઈ હોય નહીં. હા, if he is doing some tax planning for us, if he is taking some extra efforts for us, if he is giving you some advantages by using his or her knowledge in a efficient manner, and he's charging 4 to 5,000 rupees, then it's fine. But simply filing a return of income or giving the information to the government of India with a very simple kind of a return where you just earn a one particular income, it does not make a sense, right? We should not be fooled. So that also, and the perspective of this subject, I tell you, is going to be entirely from the practical point of view. Practically, what should be done, what shouldn't be done. It's not just about the theoretical learning we'll be having for the income tax. No, it's gonna be the practical outlook at which we will be looking at this subject. Right now, business and profession we have done. This is the third heads of income. There is a fourth head of income as well, that is capital gain. Now capital gain you will be learning in the income tax too. Capital gains are those kind of a gains which you earn when you sell your property. Say you have a building and you are selling your building. So no one can say sir मैं तो रोज बिल्डिंग सेल करता हूं. हाँ, अगर जो बिल्डिंग तुम्हारा काम ही है सेल करना, अगर तुम कंस्ट्रक्शन बिजनेस में हो तो तुम्हारा काम है, तुम्हारा धंधा है बिल्डिंग को सेल करना, रियल एस्टेट में सेल करना यूनिट्स को. बट इफ यू आर just like a person like all of us whose business is not the construction business, if you are selling it, then that means you are selling your property, your fixed asset. And if you are selling your property and fixed asset, on that you will have to pay the income tax based on the provisions of capital gains. You have a motor car, you have sold the motor car, you have got some profit, you pay the income tax as per capital gains. You have a furniture, you are selling the furniture and you have got the profit, you pay the income tax as per capital gains. So all those properties which are your fixed assets, which are your capital assets, if you are selling them, you get capital gains. But this is a part of income tax too. And one last head which is remaining to be done is the income from other sources, IFOS, other sources. Now anything which is not a part of salary, house property, business and profession, as well as your capital gain will be forming a part of your other sources. તો આ કેવું ખબર, આ ઉલટા કાન પકડાવ્યા. ટેક્સ તો પે કરવાનો જ છે. ઘણા બધા લોકો કે સર મારી પાસે તો બિઝનેસ જ નથી, હાઉસ પ્રોપર્ટી એ નથી, અને હું કઈ સેલેરી અર્ન નથી કરતો. હું તો છે ને બ્રોકરેજ કરીને ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ અર્ન કરું અથવા તો બ્રોકરેજ અમાઉન્ટ અર્ન કરું. તો કઈ વાંધો નહીં, તો અધર સોર્સિસ. હા, તારો બિઝનેસ જ જો બ્રોકરેજ નો હોય તો બિઝનેસ એન્ડ પ્રોફેશન ની અંદર આવશે. Yes, beta.
Sir, I'm going out, sir. Can you take my attendance?
Okay, what's your name, beta?
Jaivik, sir.
Yes, Javik. Yes, you can put your attendance. I'll mark it. What is the problem? I mean, you want to
No,
leave for some reasons?
I'm going out. That's it.
Fine. Okay. No worries. You can put your attendance.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the various things we are going to learn in the income tax. This is IFOS would be the fifth and the last heads of income, and three heads of income are covered in income tax 1, and rest 2 will be covered in the income tax 2. So what are the three which are covered in this subject? One is salary, another one is house property, which is the rent on house property you earn. If you are giving some house property to other people on rental basis, on that income, you will have to calculate on the basis of house property provisions. Then business and profession is also there. If you're doing some business of your own, you're having some startups, or you are doing the business of your father, or you are indulged into some professions like doctor, chartered accountant, marketing services, or any kind of a service you give to your clients. That will be your business and profession. The only two things which will not be there in this income tax will be capital gains and IFOS, which will be covered in income tax too. Okay, so I have given you the brief idea about the entire syllabus now. I don't think any one of you would be pursuing the CA, but if you are pursuing the CA, then Singhania is the textbook which you should be referring. But for the BCom students, I would give you material built by myself only, so you won't have to go to any other textbooks. Yes, for the greater and better explanation, if you want to get for any concept in a very detailed manner, then you can use the Singhania. You can take it from the library. But the material which would be given by me will be enough and sufficient for you as far as the BCom students are concerned, right? So no need to go into much details. There are various reference books as well mentioned. Let me take this evaluation. ઘણા લોકો પૂછતા હશે સર કેવી રીતના માર્ક કેલ્ક્યુલેટ થાય ને અમને તો ઈ જ ખબર નથી પડતી. અમારા 100 માંથી માર્ક આવે છે કેવી રીતે? Beta, this is the evaluation scheme. 20% of the marks will be your rubric. So that will be assignments, quizzes, puzzles, and everything that I'll be taking from you, projects. 30% will be mid-semester examination, and end semester examination will be 50%. Right? So say for example, if say I take the assignment marks, which is from 50, then mid-semester examination is from 50, and final examination is from 100. Right? So say for example, from rubric you have got 30. From 50 you have got 30. From in mid-semester examination you have got say 40 from 50. And say in final examination you have got 50 from 100. Then what will be your score? How do you do this? You apply the percentages now. So first you convert this marks from 100. So let's convert this marks from 100. So if you get 30 from 50, that means from 100 you get 60, right? So let's convert it in 100 first of all. If you get 40 from 50, that means you get 80 from 100, right? So 80. If you get 50 from 100, so obviously it is 100 only, so you get 50. So we have converted our marks in terms of 100. Now you apply these percentages. So in 60 you apply this 20%. In 50 you apply this 30%. And in last 50 you apply this 50%. So your marks will be 20% of 60, that comes at 12. 30% of 80, that comes at 24. And 50% of 50, that comes at 25. Right? Now you do the total of these three, that will be your total marks. So what we have effectively done is that we have given the weights to your marks. First is you convert all your marks into 100, and then you apply the relevant percentages, and the total of these three would be your CGPA marks. So 12 plus 24, 36 plus 25 would be somewhere around 61. So this will be your final score. Right? So this is the evaluation pattern which is there in every subject, just clarifying because I'm giving you the brief idea about the syllabus right now. and my material which I am going to give you will be enough for you. But let me just ensure you that this subject is going to be very, very practical, very, very relevant. It will be applicable to all kind of an income. You will be able to give guidance to your father as well for whatever the income he would be earning right now. At least you will be having some awareness about various taxes, various kind of an incomes on which you will have to pay those taxes. So this is going to be a very, very important subject if it comes to the practical knowledge. Fine. Anyone having any queries or anything you would like to ask to me as far as the syllabus is concerned? Okay. So from the next lecture, we would be starting the income tax provisions, right? We would go to the introduction. I have just given you the brief idea about it, just to give you that what are the all things we are going to learn. Okay, so now you may disperse from the class. I have 5 to 10 minutes left to take the lecture, but we would be starting it from the next lecture only. That's fine. It's the first day, so we are not going too much into the technicalities today. So you can put your enrollment number and name in the chat box, and once your attendance is done, then you may disperse from the day. From my side, it's over for the day. Bye bye. Take care. Sayonara. If you couldn't understand, or if you want any further explanation from my side for anything, you may stay and you may ask it to me. Otherwise, you can just disperse from the class. But do not forget to put your attendance. Anyone?